Rob, Dana, Marcia, Eric, and Jake. What is your history of supporting and your plan to support the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer community?
Well, I think that that work starts in our Office of Diversity and Inclusion. That person is with the city for a reason, because that is that person's area of expertise. That's not my area of expertise. My area of expertise is in communication. I think that's a very important role for the, very important quality for the mayor to have. But I also think you need to know what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. And that's not one of mine. It's not one of my strengths. But we have people for that. And so to me, that work really starts with working closely with our diversity coordinator who would help lead our staff in that effort. That's her area of expertise. And her role really for the city is helping our community as much as it is helping us, ensuring that we're making Appleton a diverse and welcoming place for everyone.
Jim?
Thank you. That's another very interesting question as it's put to us, and I gotta go back to another answer I had. Bullying or discrimination against anybody for any time is totally unacceptable. I just won't accept it. And again, I don't have a lot of experience, as Chad said. I've worked on other things. I do know some people, in that area. I treat them as people that happen to be black or white or gay. They're people first, and either you get along with them or you don't. But if anybody treats somebody poorly just based on that and doesn't even know them, but like I said, it is totally unacceptable. We do have some ways to reach out to the community and find out how we can do better, and I'm willing to learn. What you don't want is anybody that comes into this position and thinks they know everything already and is not willing to learn. That's crisis management. So again, I don't have the experience as much as some of you do, but the one thing that I'll have, and that'll be continuous, if anybody's bullied or discriminated for any reason, I just won't tolerate it.
Great. Rob?
I guess I haven't, since I've lived in Appleton, I haven't experienced maybe just not a broad discrimination against the gay community. Just little pockets of individuals, and when you bring them out into a crowd, then they don't respond that way into a large crowd, but they may just in little pockets they'll express some kind of like oh, you're a fag or something like that. But when they get into a large forum, that doesn't happen. I've designed an 18-basket disc golf course exclusively for kindergarten through 5th graders at Herb Park in Appleton, and I know that anybody will be able to play there, and including the gay community, and they're going to like that also. It'd be the first one in the world that's been put up, and I'm looking forward to get that put up as mayor.
Dana?
I'll start with the fact that this evening while I was standing out reading, there was a gentleman telling me that I needed to repent my lifestyle. So that was, I wish you were there, Jim Clemens, to help me in that effort. But I will tell you that I support the LGBTQ community by being a mayor that stands up for the community, by attending the conversion therapy ban hearings, by supporting people who were bullied by members of our community as they were trying to express their viewpoints. I support it by donating to causes. I support it by trying and walking with people and standing hand in hand. I support it by creating businesses and being part of the LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce and telling people they are welcome and safe in our city. I support it by being part of boards, by donating, by being part of charity functions, and by training people on LGBTQ inclusivity. And I know that that's just a part of who I am, but I do want you to know it is a priority for me because it is who I am. And it's a lot of different things related to how we manage our city. And I thank you for the opportunity.
I don't think anyone could improve upon his answer. I can't believe that people would be so tactless as to make remarks like that to anyone on any issue. Gay people have a new strategy now, and that's to come out. They used to hide in the closet. A couple of times I've seen the Stonewall presentation on public television. I think this new strategy is working politically for gay people. and I'm glad to see it. I like Jim Clemens' answer. I see people first also.
Eric?
As mayor, I wouldn't treat the gay community any differently. They're just like us, they're no different. They have the same agenda, same dreams, and same goals. And they deserve the same respect as everybody else. So I wouldn't treat them any differently than I treat anybody else.
Jake?
I just want to say that I'm proud to consider myself an ally, and I show that by using my roles, and I've used my roles in my life in student leadership and as a professional to help foster an environment where people can feel safe and welcome, and that's for all people, but specifically. As far as the LGBTQ community is concerned, I want all people to feel safe in our community. And in listening to people who've shared their experiences, and we heard an experience just now from a fellow candidate. We need to listen to people who are having these experiences, and we need to join in the work of standing up and looking out for the vulnerable in our community, and that is part of this work.
Okay, for our next question, we'll start with Rob, Marcia, Chad, Jake, Eric, Jim, and Dana. What is your position about local law enforcement working with federal agents such as Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, to aid with deportation of undocumented individuals?
I guess I don't think that they should be thrown out of the country if you're not a citizen. That shouldn't be the first question asked by local law enforcement. They're here to enforce the laws in the community, and that's what they should be doing when they pick somebody up for speeding or any other issue that breaking the law. As far as cooperating with federal law enforcement, I don't think they should cooperate in that regard at all. I think that federal law enforcement, if they would like, they want to find out who's illegal here or whatever, I don't think they should be able to force people to demand that to produce a card that says they are a resident of the United States of America.
Thank you. Marcia was next.
I feel very strongly that the police here, under my direction, would never work with ICE. I also think that we should have a universal driver's license, because the price of not having it means that you have drivers that maybe don't follow the rules of the road or don't know the rules of the road. So some states have it. I think we should all have it. It should not be an issue at the federal government.
Chad.
So I work with our police department on this issue from the communication aspect for our community. It's been something that they've been working on for a long, long time. Our police department works with very closely with other local, state, and federal law enforcement partners. We're following all federal laws. Our police department always has, and they will continue to do that work. What we don't do is look for people who may be here in our community that may not be documented legal citizens. So we're not actively out looking for that. Our police department is doing the work it has always done, which is ensuring that we have a safe community. Everyone who is here is welcome here. Our community is what really makes us a special place, and our police department really is here to ensure that everyone feels safe in our community.
Jake.
So I'm not in favor of Appleton Police Department participating in low priority immigration enforcement. I do think it's essential to comply with federal law, However, if you're here to contribute to this community and want to be a part of this community, you shouldn't be harassed by law enforcement. And if this is a priority of the federal government, then they should carry out that priority if that's their prerogative. But it should be put on, that burden should be put on local authorities to carry out those mandates.
Eric?
So the question is really, do I support illegal immigration?
The question is, what is your position about local law enforcement working with federal agents, such as ICE, to aid with deportation of undocumented individuals?
I don't support illegal immigration. I support legal immigration. I think people should go through the process. I think we should know who is coming into our borders and who are our neighbors. There are a lot of illegal immigrants in Appleton. A lot of them are great people. I wish our immigration system was faster and more expedited, but it's not. The mayor won't have the power to change that. If ICE needs to come here, that's the law. That's the federal law. That's the way it works. I regret that, especially if they've been in our community for a long time, if their children are going to school here, if they've made this their home. It's a very regretful thing that happens. But I can't change that. And I wouldn't fight a higher authority than the Appleton Police Department. Thank you.
Jim?
Yeah, I believe that our police officers, led by our police chief, should follow the law as written. But there's one thing that really, really troubles me, and that's, there's groups of individuals now, whether we want to close our eyes to it or not, but they're involved in child trafficking. They're here illegally, they're caught up in a living hell. And I don't want them to not cooperate with the police for fear of deportation. So we've got to work through that. They need to be able to cooperate and get rid of the real problem, and still feel comfortable enough. What these girls and boys and children are going through right now is just horrible. And you don't see a lot of it, but it's here. It really is. So as far as following the law, absolutely. The police should be able to cooperate with federal, state, and other law enforcement. But we've got to find a way to fix this problem. It's huge. And I don't want them not coming forward for fear of deportation. They got a story to tell, and they got some people that need to be put behind bars. Thank you.
Dana?
So there's a couple pieces I'd like to address in this answer. One is that I do agree that we should not violate federal law, and if someone is asked to comply, that we talk and discuss what that looks like. But no, I do not want to have my law enforcement work with ICE and be engaging in rounding up the citizens that are part of our community, contributing daily to this economy and assisting us. So I think that that's important to recognize. We also are understaffed in our law enforcement agency, so I'm not even sure we could provide these services if asked. So that would be a priority for me as well. Because again, if we are an inclusive area, we create public safety for all individuals, and we create that inclusivity by providing safety and support. I also think Common Council has a say in this, and they have an opportunity to create different ordinances or policies related to this. And however that was presented based on voters, I would support whatever that was drafted.
Okay, for this next question, I've got a little introduction because this is a question that came from the Appleton community, and it is the reality for the individuals who are asking this question. So I'm going to preface it with that. Like many other cities, Appleton has seen a rise in racial, economic, education, health, housing, and social justice disparities for the underserved and overlooked populations. As the City of Appleton's mayor, what will you do to intentionally dismantle racist and non-inclusive structures and systems? Eric, Chad, Dana, Jim, Rob, Jake, and Marcia.
As the mayor of Appleton, what will I do to dismantle racist and non-inclusive structures?
Yes.
And systems? Well, if I was made aware of any racist or non-inclusive structure or system, I guess I would look at it and I would wonder why it's there. I'm not aware of anything in the city at this time that is racist or non-inclusive. put something up that was hateful, I would take it down as fast as possible. I would find out who put it up and why they put it up. I wouldn't tolerate it.
Jack?
Well, there's a lot in that question, certainly. I think the way to really answer that from the mayor's role is that we lead by example. The city's role is to provide opportunity for everyone in our community to be successful. So we do that in a number of different ways through housing initiatives, through making Appleton a safe community for everyone with our police department, the way that we provide different levels of service to people in our community. Again, back to our diversity coordinator and the work that we do in the diversity realm there, and working with partner agencies in the community at various different levels. This isn't really a problem per se for the mayor and the city to fix. This is a problem for our community. We are not going to be successful as a community unless everyone in our community is successful. So we need to work together, all of us together, to solve those types of issues.
Dana?
As a mayor, I think you have to be the beacon, a calling card, someone that stands up and says, these are issues that we face, and we're going to use every piece of our strength to be able to address that issue. So again, working with diversity and inclusion, having conversations, being the beacon and say, we're gonna have conversations in our community and talk about race. We're gonna talk about the discrimination that's occurring. We also get a lot of complaints as a city. So being able to resolve those complaints and be able to hold landlords accountable for, inequitable process. We're actually gonna have to handle complaints regarding business owners or people that do not treat customers with the same dignity and respect, and be able to address those complaints. So in essence, being able to have conversation and educate, support those who have been wronged, and then improve the way in which we have those conversations so that people feel welcome, and then holding them accountable when they actually decide to discriminate.
Jim?
I gotta tell you, that type of thinking just baffles me. I don't understand how people can think that way about other people, for any reason. Again, the diversity coordinator, any of these task force, anything you wanna do, they're touch points. They're gonna come back to us and make us more aware of the problem. And when you deal with bigots and people that are like that, shine a bright light. Shine a bright light, let them stand up and let everybody else see what's doing, and that's the only way. We collectively can fight it. Individually, I'm not just gonna, put it on the diversity coordinator. Let's have a task force, they meet a couple times. What action comes of it? And again, this thing just totally baffles me. I don't understand for the life of me how people can do that or treat other people like that, regardless. Now, the other hard part that you're gonna find, even some of you that preach tolerance, when somebody's up talking about something you don't agree with, everyone gets pretty heated in a hurry too. So we need to listen to each other from all sides. But again, I hate to keep going back to the same point. It's just unacceptable to treat people like that. And it's not coming from your government, it's gotta come from you.
Rob is next.
As mayor, I would definitely want to get all the views in the community, and as mayor, I'd be able to schedule a meeting, an ad hoc meeting, if you will, and have my diversity coordinator also advertise to people that are out there to find out what the problem is and meet as a group. And I'd be able to do that as mayor. I'd be able to advertise where we're going to meet and have and have a place to meet, and also be able to schedule a time and have that advertised through the paper, the news, and the radio, and they would it'd be to get everybody's view of what's going on and what's happening. That it isn't right. That's because as mayor, I'm interested in everybody's viewpoint, and because I don't know everything, believe it or not, and I'd like to I want to include everybody in that conversation.
Jake?
So I talked a little bit earlier about the importance of the city taking an inward look when it comes to issues of equity and making sure that it delivers an equitable experience. And when we talk about systemic issues, I think it's important to recognize that systems yield results. And so if we're not happy with the results that a system is yielding, then we need to take a serious look at it. We need to gather data, and we need to take action, and we need to measure results. And I think that's an important process to undertake in any case, but particularly when it comes to social justice, but making sure that people in our community are treated equitably. It's also important to listen to people. I've been saying that over the course of this evening, but it's really important to listen to people when we go through that process of gathering data and to use that data and information to drive the change that we'd like to see in our community.
Marcia?
Very tough question. I've been in courses where this was largely the topic, especially when you talk about structures and systems. Ask about affordable housing or low-income housing. Very complex issue. Do you remember the redlining case in Milwaukee where the insurance and the bankers would not lend in certain areas? And finally, American Family was found at fault and had to spend a whole lot of money on advertising. So now you see their advertising aimed largely at minority people. Are you aware that there were hangings in Wisconsin until about the 1920s when usually black men and white women got together? The famous case is Virginia v. Loving, where they got married in another state. They came home to visit, and it was illegal to live together in their state. This is 1920, that's pretty recent, I would say. Do you know there are deed restrictions in Wisconsin where you are not allowed to sell your property? That's ignored now, but if I pick a jury.
Marcia, thank you for your summary of some of the things that have happened in the past. I value that. Really, it's important case law. I get that. We need to move on. So in this next round, we're going to start with Jake, go to Rob, Chad, Dana, Eric, Marcia, and Jim. Will you commit to reducing or eliminating Appleton's greenhouse gas emissions by producing local